Feeling stuck in the grind? Maybe the answer isn't to push harder, but to step back. Let's talk about why great leaders rise above the weeds to lead with clarity. When I train new team members in the restaurant, I don't just show them how to do the job. I watch how they handle pressure. I want to see what happens when they get buried by the volume. When the orders pile up, the line gets long, and the stations start to fall apart. I let them sit in it for a few minutes, not to punish them, but to observe. Can they think clearly under pressure? Can they prioritize? Can they dig themselves out? But here's where the real training happens. It happens when they can't get out of the mess. That's when I step in, or I have another trainer step in, and I tell the trainee, watch, don't just breathe, watch. I want them to see how we move, how we think, how we recover. I want them to study the rhythm of getting back on track. Because leadership is a lot like that. Sometimes we're so deep in the weeds, we forget where we're even going. We're solving problems, but not the right ones. We're working hard, but not moving forward. And that's when we need to step back. See, pressure reveals patterns. In leadership, pressure doesn't just test people, it reveals them. It shows how they think, how they adapt, and where they need support. When I let a team member get buried during a rush, I'm not setting them up to fail, I'm setting them up to learn. I want to see how they respond when things go sideways. Do they freeze? Do they panic? Do they try to fix everything at once? But more importantly, I want them to see what recovery looks like. When I or another trainer step in, I tell them, watch every move. I want them to see how we prioritize, how we stay calm, how we move with purpose, not panic. That's where the real learning happens, not in the chaos, but in the clarity that follows. See, struggle isn't failure, it's feedback, and it's often the first step towards growth. Modeling is more powerful than managing. You can tell someone what to do 100 times, but when you show them how to do it under the pressure, that sticks. Thomas Keller, the legendary chef behind the French Laundry and Per Se, is known for not just his culinary genius, but for how he leads in the kitchen. He doesn't lead them from an office or a podium, he leads them from the line. When a young chef is struggling during service, when the orders are flying in, the timing is off, and the station is falling behind, Keller doesn't yell. He steps in, calmly and quietly. He moves with precision, grace, and rhythm. He doesn't just fix the problem, he models the solution. And here's the key. He tells the young chef to watch. Watch how he prioritizes, watch how he communicates, watch how he brings order to chaos without losing composure. In that moment, the lesson isn't just about food, it's about leadership, it's about presence, and it's about showing others how to lead when the heat is on. Leadership isn't about doing the work for others, it's about showing them how to rise when the pressure hits. Modeling creates memory, and memory creates mastery. When things get crazy, step back to see the system. When you're buried in the weeds, you lose sight of the bigger picture. You're solving symptoms, not the systems. You're reacting instead of reflecting. In the E-Myth Revisited, Michael Gerber tells the story of a small business owner who's great at their craft, baking, plumbing, design, but gets overwhelmed by the business side. They spend all their time working in the business, taking orders, fixing problems, putting out fires, but they never step back to work on the business, building systems, setting vision, and creating sustainability. Gerber's point is simple. If you never rise above the weeds, you'll burn out. You'll be busy, but not effective. You'll be moving, but not progressing. And this doesn't just apply to entrepreneurs. It applies to anyone in leadership. If you never pause to reflect, you'll keep solving the same problems over and over again without ever asking if they're the right ones to solve. See, sometimes the best way to lead is to pause, zoom out, and remember where you're going. So here's a simple framework to help you know when and how to step back. It's called R.I.S.E. R stands for recognize the moment. Know when you or your team are stuck in the weeds. I stands for invite observation. Let others watch how you lead through the mess. S stands for step back strategically. Create space to reflect and reframe the problem. And E stands for empower with insight. Use what you've learned to lead with clarity and intention. So this week, take 30 minutes to step away from the day-to-day and ask yourself, am I solving the right problems? What would I see if I zoomed out? And who's watching me lead and what are they learning? If this episode gave you something to think about, would you do me a favor? Like this episode, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel. We're building a space for real leaders to grow, and I'd love for you to be a part of it. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next time for episode 30. Peace.